My name is David Radbourne. I am the Director of Corporate Performance and Transition for NHS East London and the City. It involves responsibility for the performance of healthcare services across East London, but also making sure that we implement the reform agenda that the government set out through this year. Since joining the NHS in '95, I've worked in virtually every bit of the NHS, so I've got an understanding of acute, community and commissioning services, so that helps me on the provider side. On the transition element, I brought together the primary care trusts in East London when we created clusters, so that's given me an insight into how to manage transition as we now set up clinical commissioning groups and commissioning support organisations. I was nominated as part of my personal development plan for this year by my line manager, the Chief Executive, because we'd been discussing for a while how I could consolidate my personal development to this date, but also put it in the context of where I wanted to get to over the next few years in my career. Top Leaders has given me the opportunity to take stock of the options as part of the reform of the NHS, so I've got a reasonably good understanding about the opportunities that will come to pass through this year. I found it incredibly valuable experience being on Top Leaders. For me, it was just at the right time. It gave me the opportunity 2 years into my role to undergo a 360 and see how people felt about my leadership style and their recommendations for how I could develop, which was a really rich source of information. It also gave me the opportunity to think about where I wanted to get to in the next phase of my career and some opportunity to talk about that in a supportive environment. But also more practically, it gave me the opportunity to get an insight from speakers I've not had the opportunity to hear before around their experiences of leadership and be part of a learning set of people going through very similar issues to me and work out the best things to do in order to be successful in our roles moving forward. The interesting bit of my 360 feedback was that I guess the summary would be a very good number 2 to the Chief Executive, but people couldn't see the real leadership impact from me right at the front of the group making the change. So over the last 6 months we've worked quite hard on that. I've taken a leadership role across North East London to set up effective clinical commissioning groups, and I personally feel, and my colleagues tell me, that they've seen a difference in my leadership style accordingly. I've also taken on much more of a coaching style for my team to really kind of liberate the talents that I have in the excellent team that I've got. So those are the 2 main differences over the last 6 months that I've been able to work on successfully. I think the programme for me was very effective. I think often the bit that I took away from it wasn't the bit that I expected to take away. So I've found a lot of value in networking with other people that I haven't met before. I've had an awful lot of value from the learning sets that we've had, and we'll continue those. So for those, for me, I think the experience was the ability to connect with other people going through similar issues with me or working on similar things, but at the same time having the opportunity to hear from external speakers just to make sure I'm up to speed on the latest content. Well, I think if you take the principle that I'm a senior leader in East London, and I feel as if on a personal level I've really grown. People I'm working with tell me that my leadership style has advanced, and I think I'm not sure I would have had that opportunity to work on it in that way had I not have had Top Leaders. So I would suggest that as the country's largest employer, having a talent pipeline that obviously reaps dividends is an incredibly good thing to do. The benefit of using the time to reflect on the 360 feedback, especially with a professional coach, which has been provided to me through Top Leaders, has been, again, an incredibly good opportunity. The quality of the interaction between people that I've met on the course has made it for me. I've learned an awful lot from some of the colleagues I've been part of a learning set with. We're still meeting now. Technically, we should have come to an end, so to speak, in January, and we're meeting again on Friday this week. That's a voluntary thing. We're choosing to do that purely because we see there's benefits to it in terms of coaching each other, because we've got to know each other quite well, but also we're all working on similar things. The issues that we're going through in the NHS are very similar at the moment, so having the opportunity to talk to people about how they're managing that is incredibly helpful. There's a number of us in our impact group all working on the reform agenda of the NHS at the moment, so having the ability to share how each of us are looking to set up CCGs, the governance arrangements, apply management cost savings has been helpful, just to shorten the circuit of the wheels of reinvention, if you like.